Hello, welcome to another episode of Dog Day Chess. In this episode, I'm going to continue on the topic that I covered in the previous episode, which is stalemate. Now, in the previous episode, if you remember, I was able to get the stalemate simply by setting a rather obvious trap, and it was lucky for me that my opponent fell for the trap. He captured a rook that I offered for free, and that brought us into a stalemate position. And now, of course, he didn't have to capture that rook. He could have made other moves and eventually gone on to win the game. Now, in the game we're going to look at now, it's a little bit different because at some point I'm able to force the draw, and you'll see how that happens. So I'm playing black, and I'm way down in material, and I've essentially lost the game, but I'm fighting for a draw. So it's my move, and I push the pawn up, hoping that I might be able to get some counterplay with it at some point. Okay. Then white comes and checks me. That bishop is protected by the knight. I have one legal move, which is to move into the corner, and then white follows up by moving the knight out. Now, if you'll notice that all of the squares around my king are controlled by the white pieces. Okay, so my king has no legal moves. This pawn is blockaded, it can't be pushed, so I really only have one legal move here, and I push the pawn up with check. And I'm hoping I can get some counterplay to do a stalemate, because if you notice, if he captures my pawn with either the king or the other pawn, then it'll be stalemate. So this is check. He's got to get out of check. So in the game he falls back to the last rank. I think he was wanting to make sure that he could get in front of my pawn before promotion, but actually this is a mistake. What he should have played is brought the king out to there, and then from this point all I could do is capture the pawn, and now there's a mate in 2, because as the knight jumps there, my only move is to push the pawn, and then the knight can fall in, and that is checkmate. But instead he moved the king back to the last rank. So from here I capture that pawn, and now there are a couple of options. Again, if the king captures my pawn, it's stalemate. If the king gets in front of my pawn, it's stalemate. And if the king moves out of the way, I'll be able to promote, and I'll have equalized the game. Okay, so in the game, white brought the king in front, and that's how the game ended, in a stalemate. So I hope, as always, you got something out of this episode, and I hope to see you again. Goodbye.